What's going on, gamers? Here we are back with some more Aliens Fireteam Elite, and today I'm going to be going over a little guide on how you can kind of get the most from your perks grid. So if you want to know how to allocate your perks, a kind of makeshift skill tree, then stay tuned, that's coming up next. Welcome back, all you guys and girls. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, all the latest and greatest hints, tips, guides and builds, and just some fun gameplay of the latest games, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But for today I'm here to show a few of you exactly how to get the most from your skill grid. So this is probably more aimed at beginners and people who haven't played the game for quite as long. But at the start it may well be that you're just not sure what's going into your grid, what to do with it, or how to get the most from it. So if I pop over to my character, and this one's the dock, which I have done pretty much nothing with. If you are starting up as a beginner, your dock grid is going to look exactly like this. And as you can see, you've only got these 12 squares just there. Now as you progress and as you level up your character class, so at level 3 and then at level 5 and finally at level 7, you'll be able to unlock all of the grid. The character class for each goes up to level 8, and at that point you'll have unlocked all of its core and modifiers, so you'll have everything for that class. The only time I think there's something different will be if you unlock them through actually playing the game or through buying it from the armory. Now the main thing you're going to want to know is that there's two distinct colours, and as you can see you've got blue, and if I pop over to here, probably not the best example because I haven't unlocked anything, but you've got green as well. Blue means everything is universal. The great thing with this, they can be used in any class, meaning that all of these grids right here, you can chuck any blue ones into it. There is a factor that kind of takes away from that, which I'll explain in a moment, but most times just remember universal ones can be chucked into your skill grid in any single class. The green ones over here, however, cannot. The green ones are just class specific, meaning only this class can chuck them into their grid. So if I go to one that's more kitted out, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Right, so here I have my technician, and as you can see I've completely unlocked everything. He's level 8, so I've got all of his core, all of his modifiers, and his whole grid is available for me to use. Now with the blue ones, because they're universal, you can chuck them anywhere in your grid. So if I want that just over here, I very well can. If I want to bop everything every which way but loose, I can chuck it into my grid. Exactly the same with these right here. Now when you go over to the modifiers, however, a lot of times they need to be used in conjunction with something. So say for example I have just put these here, meaning that I've put on the technician CQW. Because I've put that on, I can now allocate this over to it. Whereas if I'd taken this off, if you'll have a little look, anything that has this just over on the right hand side, the red exclamation mark, not compatible with current perks. Now that right there tells you exactly what it means. You cannot use this in your skill grid at the moment. So as we saw earlier, I had this one just here when I can find it, the technician CQW training. Because I have the training, I can now pop over and I can get the expertise, whereas before I really couldn't. So if I wanted that one just there, I can chuck that on. If I want the mastery, I can chuck that on. However, one thing to note, because I've put all of these here now, I have now blocked off my charge coils, which is really bad. The main reason I say that is because if you want to allocate things to help this out, so say for example I wanted a modifier of enhanced reach, it has to be attached to the skill that you want to use it with. So as soon as I do that, you can now see that it increases the radius on ability by 18%. It's going to tell me what bonuses I've got on it, really nice, and it helps you to work out what's going on with your tree. So if I just take these off, and say for example I wanted to actually make sure I was doing a bit more damage, it's going to tell me what I can do it with. So force multiplier 4 increases the damage of an ability by 22%, compatible with sentry turret. Meaning I cannot put it anywhere else because it's already told me it's only compatible with this one just over here on the left. One thing you'll probably want to work out is what kind of tree you want. Do you enjoy sentry guns? Do you really enjoy using your charge coils? Or are you a person who really enjoys just gunplay? Sometimes your character class will choose that for you because, say for example the gunner, you're going to be using your gun an awful lot and you're probably going to be speccing into the option to get as much damage for that. However, in some playstyles, you're going to want to work out what you want to do in order to align your grid exactly the way you want it. So for example, if I wanted to go very sentry turret heavy, I would have to pick one of the modifiers. So just up here you've got your modifiers for that skill and you can only have one of these on. If I wanted the incinerator turret, I'm going to pop over here and put it on. Now I cannot use this. As you can see, it's come up with an exclamation mark and it just means I've got to have one or the other. So you can have your complete standard version or you can have one of the two that's up the top here. Exactly the same for every class. Next up, sometimes you'll just need to read things. So say for example if we bop down to here, deep leverage. When you or your turret shoots a target affected by resonating impact, they have a 15% chance to be knocked down. A target can only be knocked down this way once every 10 seconds. Now again, it's telling me I need resonating impact, which we know is going to be over in the core. So if I want that, I'm going to have to pop over to there and then go to my modifier and chuck on this one as well. Now as you can see from that one didn't need to be linked to my turret just over on the left here, because if it had to be, then it would have that line going all the way across. This one doesn't, so I can bop it anywhere. If I wanted to bop it there, I very well could. But it's a bit prettier up here, so I'm going to leave it up there for the time being. Again, just down here we've got modular integration. Each stack of scalable machine learning also increases your accuracy and fire rate by 5%. It's just told me what I need. I need to pop this on and chuck on that right there. So then I need to make sure that I've put this into the right place when I go to the right one, which is this one. And again, I can chuck that anywhere. If however I put that there, I'm going to make it that I've only got a one slot. If I've got nothing that I can put into that, I'm going to make it kind of worse for my build. If you had a perfect build, you would try to use every slot up. Sometimes it may well be that one's missing, that's not so bad, but if you can, the less you've got, the better it is. If you had 2 or 3 of these kind of left, you're probably going to want to move things around as your build won't be as strong as it probably could be. So with that being said, I'm going to allocate this in that way instead, because now I can move things around a little bit more and make things a little bit easier for myself. So next up I'm going to grab this one, and as you can see, compatible with sentry turret. It's told me exactly what I've got to do. I have to make sure I'm linking this to my sentry turret. So next up I can chuck this one over there, compatibility just all the way over here, and again it needs to be attached to something. So as you can see now, I've kind of got most of my skills done. I've just got to work out what I want left and make sure that I can slot them into where I need. So say for example I wanted to use something that would be with cross-platform synergy, I have to make sure I use these spaces here. If I had, for example, chucked this one on just down here, now I cannot add anything that needs to be attached to this. So we're going to pop that off and we're going to chuck this on instead. As you can see, now that's attached to the cross-platform synergy, meaning if I did need something else that needed to be attached to that, so for example this one again needs to be attached to that, I can chuck that up to here. Obviously if I wanted to do it perfect, I would not leave that slot there, but it all depends how you've got things. If I wanted to, I could swap this one here and pop this one all the way along and then reattach that deep leverage. Because I've done that, I can now pop this one down, leaving me free just up the top here. Sometimes you will need to have a little muck around to make the perfect grid how you want it. Because I've done that, I could now quite easily chuck this on just up the top there if that's how I wanted my skill grid, and if I want to focus a little bit on charge calls with this one. Do the grid how you like. Sometimes it will take a few times and a few playtests to work out exactly what you're after. I would honestly say, looking at this, it's probably not ideal in the slightest. A lot of times what you want to do is add a few things onto a certain skill. Say for example a little bit of damage, a little bit of recharge, or even a little bit of more radius. So these right here, the modifiers really help out if you're going down the route of trying to make one skill really powerful, or if you just want to modify them a little bit to your liking. Now again, with these blue ones, like I said, pretty much nigh on all times they can fit into any skill grid. However, it doesn't mean they should do. So as you can see, here's my gunner, and he is completely, again, has everything unlocked, which is great. If I were to, I could quite easily come down to here, and because I've unlocked this on my demolisher, I can chuck on the heavy training for him, which is absolutely amazing, because you're going to unlock a lot of classes perks, you're going to work them into your build. It can really be helpful, but not always. For example, this one, you can't use heavy except for with the demolisher, so just because you can use something doesn't mean you always should use it in every tree. So make sure you have a little look through your trees, through your characters, and see which ones you're aiming for. Also, some of the actual classes cannot actually use all of the blue universal perks. So say for example, if I went to my dock, because of these modifiers over here, if you have a little look, quite a few of them, say for example the false multipliers, not compatible with current perks. Now like I said earlier, a lot of times that's because you don't have the core perk, but on some of them, like for example the dock, and I think recon as well on quite a few of them, some of them like enhanced reach or false multiplier you won't be able to use because there's nothing to use them on. He doesn't have anything that does damage, therefore you can't have anything that's going to increase its damage. Have a little look at some of the exclamations, and if there's nothing that you can put on in the core, it just means that the reason for that is that you can't use it entirely because you can't use it with that character class. Well, you guys and girls, I hope I've explained that okay. It's pretty late where I am, but hopefully I've not missed anything off. But as always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, take care. I'll see you on next day.